Welcome back to the shipyard. Today, we're talking about USS Voyager. I know everybody's heard about Voyager, and the reprint is nigh impossible to find. But, again, this one's trying to help you figure out if it's worth it, and hopefully someday Voyager will be in stock aplenty, and people start discounting it, because there's way too many of them. Anyways, Voyager. It's an Intrepid class, 30 points, 4245, so your points are in durability. That's not a bad place to have them. Standard fed action bar, 3 crew, 1 weapon, 1 tech. Love 3 crew. And the named ability, you get a 360 attack with 4 dice, 5 at range 1, yes, that's a thing, and it just costs an Ox Power token. And that's fine. 90-90 for arcs. Maneuver dial, I submit to you that the maneuver dial is not that good. It's not hideous, but it's not that good. And here's why. With only a 90 arc, you need a come about or you need a backup. Voyager has neither. Instead, they have a 6 straight. And while that's thematic, it isn't enough to get you out of the way in combat. See, a 2-turn just moves you around, and that's going to take you like 3 turns to really be in a fighting position. But that's not enough. Admiral Forrest is practically mandatory when you run Voyager, because you're going to be out of position way too often. More than that, you don't have a 1 straight. That's the most crucial move in the game, and to not have access to it is just asking for trouble. I know some people will disagree with me on my evaluation of the movement dial, but I totally believe and will staunchly defend that this is a bad maneuver dial. I know, no red, but that's not enough. Generic ship loses a crew, so you go 2 crew, weapon, tech, and that's fine, but the bad maneuver dial just, it kills it for me. I will never run a generic Intrepid. I don't care. You can't pay me. Alright, 2 captains in this pack, and they're the 2 you would think. Janeway and Chakotay. So, Janeway first. She's skill 8, talent slot, 5 points. That's what you like. And the named ability's pretty good. Whenever you do one of the 3 token actions, you get to do another one for an Ox Power. Don't run her on Voyager. There's way too much Ox Power flying around on that ship as it is. It can clear 1 each round, and that's using Chekhov. But just don't do it. But I know this is a classic. Put her on Kirk's Enterprise. Put her on the tiny prize that doesn't care about Ox Power, and she's fantastic. She's still not the best captain in the world, but she's not bad captain. And yeah, skill 8, it's not bad at all. I like Janeway. She opens up some possibilities, being able to double evade, double battle station. Those all have potential, especially if you're running like a double attack build with additional phaser arrays or an Admiral Worf build. Janeway can do some interesting things. Granted, Admiral Worf, you can't spend the tokens during the activation phase. More so that additional phaser arrays, the double attack in the combat phase. Having 2 battle station tokens there would not be the worst thing in the world. Then we have Chakotay, and he's a trickier captain to wrap your head around. Skill 5, 3 points, no talent slot. So kind of that middling when it comes to just pure captain before you get to the ability. But his named ability is really interesting. He disables. So that is a pro for Hood Riker, right? 2 more dice, 2 conversions, right? We can be on board with that. And then being able to have 2 different crew do their actions, that's a pretty good thing. And that's your normal action. You can still do free actions on top of that. So there can be some give and take there. I still don't quite know how I feel about Chakotay. He needs the right pieces to work, and there are definitely right pieces, but they get really expensive really quickly. Also, re-enabling your captain is a tough sell. because a lot of the things that you do in order to use Chakotay frequently involve using an action anyways, and at that point you might as well just use a different captain and use that bonus action to do the 2 crew you were going to activate anyways. Like, Chakotay just feels unnecessary at that point. He's alright, there are things you can do, but you're running him probably more for the thematicism of him rather than the competitiveness. Upgrades. We're going to start with weapons. We're going to start with transphasic torpedoes. They're 10 cost, but 10 dice. Yeah, okay. You gotta have a target lock, spin the target lock, discard the card. It don't make sense. But then you get to fire from your front or rear arc, and that's important. A lot of people forget the rear arc on this. Problem, of course, you don't have quality. Now, you can have a battle station token. That's fine. Sometimes that's just not enough quality. Now, you can run this with car, and then that'll help. That'll give you the quality you need to a point. It really hit or miss. I feel like for these to be truly competitive, they needed to have a built-in conversion. Even if it's just a battle station to a crit, they'd be worth it. But sadly, they don't. Ultimately, I feel like these are just a little expensive, but boy, were they fun against Borg ships, especially in the Collective OP series where you knew you were firing at a stationary target that didn't roll any defense dice and you just had to pump dice. That's where they were sweet. So now we go to tech, and to start, we have bioneural circuitry, one of the things the Intrepid class was known for. It's 5-point non-unique. The nice thing here, you get to reroll your dice after you roll them for any reason. So that can be a Warp Core breach. That can be Madred dice. The downside is you got to reroll all your dice, and then you're locked in. I don't love the card. These types of cards, I sit down and get the cheese to sickbay. They need to be pick and choose cards. Forcing me to reroll all of my dice should be the downside to a card being really cheap. But it shouldn't be the downside to a card being expensive, like a 5-point card. Bioneural circuitry, it's an okay card, but it is so expensive. Alright, the ablative generator. It's 10 points, and I'm going to save you the trouble and just tell you, don't run it. Don't run it. There's descriptions up here on the page, and you can see what's going on. Disabling your shields for 4 extra durability, and then not getting your shields back until the end of the round in which you choose to remove the token, thus you don't have the durability. It's just blah. And sorry, when I said 4 extra durability, I meant 5. It's not good. It's fine. It pays for itself in terms of the points, but the timing of it is terrible. Just absolutely terrible. Plus, it can only be on Voyager, just like the transphasics. Voyager exclusive upgrades. Pre 50 point, that was fine. Post 50 point rule, not so much. They're built for mission play. Where 50-point rule? What 50-point rule? But OP play? No. Alright, our question mark card is the Doctor. Although, he's a little different kind of a question mark. He counts. He actually counts as a crew or a tech upgrade, your choice. So that's different than filling a slot because he gets the appropriate discounts. He is actually a crew for the purpose of reroll core. It's not like a systems upgrade that actually just fills a slot, takes the space, gives you the things that it does. No, the Doctor is what he says he is. Every penalty, every discount, whatever it is that you need, he's what that is. It creates a bit of a philosophical dilemma. Is the Doctor crew or is he tech? I don't know. But beyond that, the ability on him is a really good ability. Being able to remove all disable upgrade tokens from your crew for an action, it's great, right? It combos with Phlox or does different than Phlox. It's all about timing which way you want to do your effect. That's all great. running the Doctor with Beverly was a staple of games for a bit, still can be. It's all about how you want to manipulate your build, what you want to do. The Doctor combines great with Tim Waters. Like, all these things. It's part of the clown car build. I didn't create that name. I'm just stealing it and using it, and but I love that. There's a lot of fun you can do. The Doctor is very reasonably priced, and there are far worse cards to run. So, speaking of some of the far worse cards, Harry Kim, 4 points, action, disable, repair a shield. I don't think so. Action, repair a shield? Yeah, that would have been a thing. But action, disable? Nope. Not happening. Okay, moving on. Tuvok. So Tuvok gives you a conditional extra defense die, and I have found exactly one use for him. Duros Torpedo. I did a build academy on that. Because you disable Tuvok to give you an extra attack die, and then you Duros Tuvok to give you an extra attack die. So really, he's 5 points for 2 extra attack dice in that situation. But beyond that, he's 5 points for an attack die once, and then he's an action for another attack die, and that's just garbage. Yeah. Tom Paris. He was a pretty reasonable crew. Extra defense die every time you defend. 4 points, a little pricey. And then Hood Riker came out, and we went, oh, Tom's really pricey. Because Hood Riker was the same effect, plus more for less. Yeah. Tom, we thank you. You were good. Now you're not. B'Elanna. 4 points for an extra weapon and tech. Playable. Pricey. If you really got to have both of those slots, I get it. But I would rather run Systems Upgrade and then Sakona, or even Natasha Yar, or Arsenal. Like, if you really got to have them, but I get that that's more slots. It's tricky, but yeah. So another card I feel it was a little outclassed, but she's still playable because she gives you slots that are tougher to find in excess. And our last crew was 7 of 9. My problem with 7 is that there's so few consistent tech to actually put adaptation tokens on that 7 just doesn't have good use. She doesn't have widespread use because it all comes down to what your opponent's running. So many of the worthwhile tech are discards. And if that happens, then 7's useless. Now, granted, you can get an adaptation on there first, and then you're fine. But the reality is 7's just too expensive. Her idea is neat. If you could do it to your own fleet, that would be something, because then you can actually plot for what you want, and you get a second use of a unique tech. But sadly, it doesn't work that way. All right, and our last card is the Elite Talent Sacrifice. While the card is super thematic, and I love the name, it's just too expensive. Being able to set 2 dice is cool, but the cost of a discard and disabling your captain, just too much. It really just too much. I want to like Sacrifice because setting dice, especially defense dice, is a cool thing, but even the best offensive situation, which is setting double crits, it's not good enough. Like, even if I want to run that on the Paw or run it with Mirror Archer, I just have better things to do. And I have cheaper things to do. I can't even run it with Mirror Archer because I'll be disabled, and then his effect is worthless. Maybe I've run it with Fleet Commander and he's my secondary captain, but that's just pointless. So I feel that Sacrifice just isn't worth it. So overall, I feel that I'm giving this pack a rating that is similar to how I feel that Voyager went in the series. It started off, it was a top of the line pack. Everybody loved it, was revolutionary. And then other things came out that made it a little obsolete. It wasn't the best ship in the fleet anymore. Right? The Intrepid class was surpassed by the Sovereign class. I'm talking about in the Star Trek world, not in the game necessarily. And Voyager felt like a 7-year-old ship when it got home. It had been through trials, and it wasn't all that good. The same thing can be said about this pack. There are still some somewhat useful cards, but as you see here, I don't rate any card in this pack an A. There's a lot of B's, so there's some very playable cards, but nothing's an A. Maybe I'm being really harsh, really harsh on Voyager. That's really where I see it. So you guys feel free to disagree with me. I will take that. We can have a good discussion about it. You guys can tell me that I'm wrong, that Voyager's great, but every time I see Voyager on the table against me, I know that I have a chance, no matter what, because I know that I can outfly it. And I thank my opponents for running it. I know that sounds weird, but that's truly how I feel. On that slightly somber note, thank you guys for watching, and until next time, we'll see you around the shipyard. Take care.